Hi, my name is Nikki. This is The Interventionalist. And today I want to talk about things that I have learned since dating women, like things that I just didn't anticipate and also things that I've learned just in general. Things like learning how to flirt with women, like learning how to break that platonic barrier, and also things that I learned when it comes to dating women that I just didn't anticipate, that I had no idea would happen or even were things. And this is technically the third video for my Lesbian Visibility Week video, but it's getting up late. It was supposed to be up on Saturday, but my life just got insane over this past weekend. So this is technically the third video from that, even though it ended yesterday. But the first video was about like signs that I missed leading up to coming out, and then coming out, things that I experienced. And now this is like things that I experienced live in the moment, like hanging out with a girl and being like, what the hell is going on right now? Or what the hell do I do right now? And that's what I want to talk about. More like lighthearted, funny things, and then also just like, I don't know, shocking. And when I was thinking about this video, like what I wanted to talk about in it, for some reason, like one of the first memories that came to my mind that I felt like had a really big impact on me, but I couldn't like explain why. And then I thought more about it and I was like, okay, I think it's because it was one of the first moments that I really learned that there are people in the LGBTQ community, and you can end up in relationships, even if they're lesbian relationships, that are still like very based in and founded upon very strict, rigid, heteronormative expectations and dynamics, even if you're in a gay relationship, a lesbian relationship. And so I'm just going to tell you the story. And this actually was something that happened with my abusive ex-girlfriend. So I should have, whatever. I already knew she was weird from the moment we met. But so this is one of the first times where I realized, like, okay, like, this is interesting. This is interesting that you reacted this way. So we were hanging out. We had known each other for, I don't know how long now at this point. Not long, but this was our first time hanging out. And she had come over to my apartment, and we were just hanging out. And we weren't doing anything. Like, we weren't doing anything weird at all. I think we were, like, on our phones. And then she asked me to guess if she was a top or a bottom. And, you know, that's not the first time since then. First time someone did it up until then that people have asked me to guess this. Let me just tell you this. If someone ever asks you to guess, there's a 99.9% chance that they're a top. That's just what it is. Only a top will even ask that question usually. And it seems that every single time somebody asks that, if they don't get the answer they like, they get offended. Because it's not the first time that someone's asked me that question and they're like, whatever. But the rest of the story was a first and only time that this happened. So she asked me to guess if she was a top or a bottom. And like, I kind of could guess at that point that, yeah, if someone's asking you that, it feels like top behavior to ask that question. But I was like, at the same time, just to be completely honest, like, sue me. I thought the answer was bottom. I still, whatever. I thought the answer was bottom. I don't know. I just did. And I'm not a liar. So I said bottom, that I thought she was a bottom. And she got so upset with me. She got so upset with me. She was like, I've never felt so emasculated in my life. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said this. It was like a big deal. She was really upset with me. Then she said something really stupid, like just so stupid. It was like, I'm going to go hook up with another girl to like assert my dominance. It was so dumb. It was so fucking stupid. Whatever. But that's what she was saying. She's like really upset with me. She's like, I've never felt so emasculated. Like, I can't believe you said that. Like, I have to go. Like, I can't handle this. Whatever. And then she dapped me up. And then she took her stuff and she's like, I'm leaving. Like, I gotta go. Dap me up again. I was like, what is going on right now? Like, what is going on right now? And then took her stuff and I'm like sitting stunned on my bed. I'm like just actually stunned. Like, I don't even have words right now. Like, I was just like stunned. And she leaves my room and she goes into the living room of my apartment where my roommate is, who she doesn't even know. I don't know why she did this. And she goes, hey, like, introduces herself because they don't know each other. It's like, I'm leaving. I was here with Nikki. Like, nice to meet you. And my roommate's like, okay, cool. Like, it was just random. And then she goes, I'm going to go say bye to her one more time. I can hear her down the hall. And she comes back into my room. And then she was like, sorry, like, I don't know. Like, I really liked you. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't know. Like, I just, like, kind of sucks. I just don't think I'm going to be able to forget that. Like, I can't believe you would guess that. Like, blah, blah, like, just, like, really weird and bizarre. And I was like, okay, like, and then I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm sorry. But in my head, I'm like, what am I apologizing for? Like, what is going on? I also thought that was the answer, like, for real. And then she's like acting like she's gonna leave. And then she comes back and she's like, I don't know. Like, I really did like you. Like, this sucks. when she'd dap me up again and then she'd start to leave and then she'd come back. It was just ridiculous. I've never been dapped up so many times in my entire life. And then eventually she's like, no, like, actually, maybe I'm overreacting. Like, maybe I'll be able to move on from it. It's fine. Like, maybe I'll stay. And she stayed, whatever. And that ended up being my ex-girlfriend, my abusive ex-girlfriend. Like, at any other point in my life now, I would have been like, yeah, leave, go. That's obviously not what happened. I ended up dating. So, just one of the many red flags. But I was so, like, she was older than me. And this was the first time that I was, like, really, like, with a girl that I liked, and that, I don't know, it was just crazy. It was so confusing. And I knew it was a weird reaction. Obviously, like, it's kind of a crazy reaction for her to have in general, but it taught me something that, you know, I only learned more and more after being with her, who was like a very misogynistic person in general. Like, aside from the abusive relationship, she also was just very misogynistic and very much wanted, like, what would be a straight relationship. She wanted me to be like, yeah, she wanted a straight relationship, and she wanted to be in very stereotypical traditional terms. She wanted a man and a woman, and she wanted me to be the woman, whatever. So she wanted complete rigidity when it came to roles in relationships, including the rigidity that comes with traditional relationship roles in sex. So, like, man, top, woman, submissive. Also, my cat just jumped up there. His name's Teeny Ween. By the way, that's kind of funny for the topic we're talking about. His name's Teeny Ween. That's funny. Anyways, so that's like how her brain worked. And that was just jarring. I never experienced that. I didn't know that that really existed within gay relationships, like that there was so much, honestly, like homophobia that led to like extreme heteronormativity. I don't think that like heteronormativity, when we think about it in terms of like, oh, we want like someone who has like the more traditional masculine presence and a more feminine, heteronormativity is negative because of its like institutional systemic oppressive backing, and the way that it's force-fed to us in terms of dynamics and rules. But there's people within the LGBTQ community who want that. They want those oppressive dynamics, and they also want the rigidity of those roles, versus people in like LGBTQ relationships who like have explored fluidity and can still exist within like a fluid state while sort of like taking on a dynamic that is somewhat representative of this like what we understand to be heteronormative, which is like more masculine, more feminine, whatever. They want the rigidity in a negative way. And it's like offensive to them to ever assume that they would exist outside of it. And that was like one of the first times I experienced that, where it was like, no, like that is so offensive to ever assume that. It's like a toxic masculinity thing, right? Like that's kind of what was happening. I just didn't know that could exist like in the LGBTQ community and gay relationships. And since then, like obviously I went through that relationship. I know her. I know that that's not the first time that's happened, and I know it's not the last. Like that's not that rare to have people who are like that, to meet people like that, who, I just threw that on the ground, it's fine, who feel that way. And that threw me off, okay? And then whatever, got in a relationship. I learned a lot of other things, but that was one of the first times that I learned that like there were, I don't know, people still felt that way. Like they felt very, very attached to these dynamics and like what they meant and like why they were that thing. So like she was that thing because she was masculine, so like she was very attached to that fact, that dynamic, that expectation, which was the role to play that role then of a top, whatever. Anyways, it's like kind of a funny story. It is, I mean, it makes me laugh. Like it's crazy. Like what a crazy reaction you just had right now. Like what is going on right now? But it stuck with me, and I've never really forgotten it, mostly because it was one of the first times that I became aware of the fact that like if you do date women, just know that like there are people who will expect and who do want like very rigid heteronormative relationships, and just be careful, I guess, is something like to be aware of. That I know people who have reached out to me like ever since I make videos on here and I talk about things similar to this. People have reached out to me who've experienced similar things where it gets like to be very bad and very, very unhealthy. But I think you can also have a relationship where like you kind of just play like those more I guess what we consider like heteronormative roles in a way that's not unhealthy, that it's fine. But that's just something I didn't know. I didn't know it was about like it could exist in a way that was so unhealtly and still exist in the LGBTQ relationship and lesbian relationships and be, oh my gosh, it was just, I just like threw me off. I was like, what just happened? Like I also, yeah, it was just a lot. I had never experienced anything like that. And okay, so that was like one thing that I remembered when I was thinking about this. Things that I'm like, oh God, I just like didn't expect that to happen. And it would be like the way that some people are still very attached to like heteronormative scripts, heterosexual scripts. That was something that I learned and that I do now know. And sometimes I talk about it in videos when I talk about like the idea of scripts. My video about misogyny, I think it's called like Misogyny Warps Queer Relationships, kind of like touches on, it comes from that like experiences like that where I realize, okay, it matters a lot to some people and the ways that it can like show up and the expectations it can place on you and the person that you're with, or like in this case, the expectation would for me then to have been like, no, like you are a bottom, you're submissive, you're like more feminine, you're taking on these like expectations that come with femininity and like traditional roles. That's what I mean, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. Okay, that was one of the things. And then I thought about UHauling, and I knew, okay, so I came out, I'd been on like the gay internet. I knew that was a thing. I didn't know it was as real as it is. So like, UHauling is real. UHauling is real. I think that there's reasons for it. I think you could probably like give a really good argument as to why it exists. I think that there's a lot to be said for example, if you're two women like in a lesbian relationship dating, the certain kind of bond that you can build because of the shared lived experience, and the way that, for example, like women have been forced to be more emotionally like observant, intuitive, communicative as ways to like protect ourselves. It's like literally survival mechanisms because the roles we've been forced to play, things like that. We're more emotionally communicative, so there's quicker bonding, things like that. I think that there's various reasons that it can happen. That's just in the case that, for example, if it's like two women dating, if you're like, I don't know, in my situations. But UHauling is really real. It's real, and it's a threat. Like, it's a threat. I guess I suppose if you are being threatened by it, I have been. I've definitely like made the mistake of just going way too fast with people. And I guess something that I wish someone would have told me earlier on, that I have told myself every single time I've dated someone and did this anyways, but that I still tell myself, I just have to like be better at putting into practice, which I can now because I've had my heart broken enough that like UHauling doesn't work for me anymore. But is so important if you are dating women for the first time and you are obsessed, like you just say you like meet a woman and you went on a date and you're like, oh my God, I could just spend every single second with you forever. Like, I just don't want to leave your side. And you just become like attached at the hip. And you just want to be around them all the time. There's one piece of advice that I like wish I could give every lesbian who's experienced this, including myself, or more so that I wish I would take this advice. Take actual days of physical space apart. Like, do not do anything. Do whatever works for you. But if you are falling into that space where you're like, we went on one date and now we have not separated for like 72 hours. I have done that. It's so important. Even if you then continue after this to like snowball and go really quick into a relationship. Take actual days of physical space away from each other. I don't mean just like a couple hours. I mean like a couple days at least of like actual physical distance. Like, keep talking is fine, but take actual physical distance, spend some days apart. And the reason that I say this is because when you go into the situation and like you start UHauling, say like you're experiencing like the stereotypical, it's not stereotypical, but it's a myth, but it's also not a myth. I've lived it multiple times. The 72-hour lesbian first date where like you literally end up on a date that lasts like a week or like 72 hours long. Like, you don't leave each other. I've done that. Okay, it's all fun. It's all fun and games, whatever. The thing is that you can have so much chemistry that you're able to do this, but chemistry does not equal compatibility. And compatibility doesn't even always equal like relationship material. And when you are so intoxicated with someone's presence and you're so attracted to them in all different ways, like they're arousing everything in you, your brain, your body, in whatever way that you're attracted to people, they're like, you're attracted to all of it with them. And it's a lot, and it's like overwhelming to have someone that you're that into be in front of you. And now you're supposed to think clearly about the potential for your guys' like relationship. If you like them, what were red flags, what weren't red flags? If you did really like them and actually did enjoy the date and would want to see them again, like still needing the time to like sit and think and like process what you did experience together and like what you learned about them and all these different things. It's so important to separate yourself like physically, genuinely from this person, because it is so hard. It is so hard to clearly mentally process and sort of reevaluate everything that you just experienced with somebody when you are still so in the moment, overwhelmed with their presence, and you're being affected by their presence. Like, I'm talking about in positive ways. Like, you have a crush on someone, you just get like, oh my gosh, it's like your brain can feel like it's buzzing. And when someone's in front of you, like, how can you take a second and decompress and regulate enough to like properly process and assess everything that happened and think about it very clearly to make active judgments and decisions around like this relationship and what you want, or what a relationship might realistically look like with someone if you're getting that close to them that fast. Like, if you're getting that close that fast, like, you should be asking yourself these questions before you just fall into a relationship where it gets a lot harder to, I guess, like how I would try and explain this is, it's a lot easier to like press on the gas than it is to like slam on the brakes after you're going 100 miles an hour. Like, it's so much easier to start going 100 miles an hour than it is to slow down and try to get back to like 10 miles per hour. It's a lot harder. And so that's why it's good to start slow than it is to try and slow down. It's just a lot harder to slow down when you become so attached and you've already gone so fast. And when you go so fast, you start building like an attachment that is really just backed on the fact that you've become physically like used to each other and attached, rather than it is built on the fact that you really know each other. And that's because time hasn't caught up with presence. So like, you've spent a lot of time like close to each other, but you haven't spent enough time together in life that you know enough about them to like sort of back up the amount of attachment that you have. And that's fine. That's what happens. You learn about each other over time. But you can end up in a full-blown committed relationship where you're seeing each other every single day, like meeting their family after like 2 months if you really want to. And then it isn't until like 2.5 months in that you even realize what kind of person are when they're tired after a long day at work and they got stuck in traffic. Like, what kind of person are they in that moment? And now you've like committed to them, potentially even like started talking about moving in with them. If not, you have. Some UHauling goes that fast, some doesn't. But it feels that easy when you've fallen in and you've attached to that idea of them, and you've become that like physically attached, that it hasn't, all of who they actually are and all of who you actually are hasn't had time to catch up. So you don't really know each other, and yet you're attached to each other as if like you do. And now you're attached to a person and very committed to somebody that you don't even really know. And I'm not saying this to be like negative or so that you can't have like a good relationship and like can end well this way. I'm just saying that I see this happen a lot, and I've experienced this where it's like you are now in a committed relationship where you haven't spent any time apart, and you now are each other's person while you don't even really know the other person yet. And that's a really vulnerable position to be in, and UHauling lets that happen really quickly. And is really the reason that happens really quickly, is just that like moving really fast. And so when I say like take physical space apart, it's because when you become that attached to just having someone in your presence, they become like your person simply because they are right there and they're a person, versus they're becoming your person because they're a person and you know them as they are as a person. And even when they don't exist directly in your line of sight, like holding your hand, they're still a person that like you know and you think of and you understand, and they don't have to be right in front of you for it to be, I don't know how to explain it, for it to be right, for it to work. You can still like have, what would be the word? I don't even know how to put it. It's like, it's hard to explain, I suppose, other than, I don't know. I suppose more so than anything, the point is that you need to give yourself time to process and evaluate what you have experienced with a person, everything that came with that experience, rather than just like being with them 24/7, going through and not taking a second to process what you've experienced away from them, and therefore likely going to be like overlooking things that you should take a second to actually think about when it could come to being in an actual relationship with somebody. For example, when you're with somebody in the moment, hanging out with them a lot, the fact that their ex still like calls them all the time or is trying to get back together with them might not feel like a big deal because you're with them in the moment, so they're paying attention to you all the time, and you're still like enthralled with this like new relationship, and it's like no big deal because we have each other. But in reality, you should take the time, instead of like becoming inseparable, you should have the time, days apart, where they're not like sort of, you're not overwhelmed, intoxicated by like being aroused by their physical presence in whatever way that it does arouse you, mentally, emotionally, I don't know, physically, where you can process and think about something like that in regard to the fact that you also have feelings for them, to decide whether or not that's how you would feel about that in a relationship, or being in a relationship with someone who has that going on in their life. But when you're with someone in person, I mean, who cares? It's like, but we're together. Like, it's not, nothing really matters because we're together and we're like so high on each other, kind of. And it doesn't have to be something like that. Like, that's just a really obvious one, right? Like, someone's ex texting them all the time. But a lot of lesbians get in relationships while they still have like feelings for their ex. I don't know. It's just like a stereotype, but I don't even know if it is a stereotype because it kind of seems to be like true. Like, I see happen a lot. But I think that's just like one example that's pretty obvious one, like, oh, someone's ex is kind of still in the picture. But I'm so in their picture, so it doesn't really matter about their ex. But you should take a second and like process that, and you should take the time away from it to be able to like process it without your feelings of attraction for this person being directly in front of you sort of clouding it. Being so overwhelmed with somebody's presence because you're so into them will really cloud your judgment when it comes to like actually reviewing and understanding compatibility beyond just chemistry. And I think that's really important. And I think that can help protect you from like the vulnerability that can come with getting into a relationship with somebody too soon, and then being in a relationship with somebody that they become your person simply because you're two people who are now really attached at each other's hip, rather than being each other's person because you really know the person yet. And that's not to say it can't work out. I mean, I'm sure it definitely can. But I do think it's something to look out for. And I think there's a reason that it's a myth and low-key, like, actually kind of true. And I understand. Like, I've experienced it, like, where things are just, like, snowballing way too fast. But always ones that ended, like, soon. Like, they would, like, snowball, theoretically U-Haul for a month, and then it'd be done. And I would do things where I'm, like, looking back now, I'm like, oh, my God, why would I do that? For example, me and this girl, were seeing each other. And we had been seeing each other for like a week, and we became like pretty inseparable. I would say, I don't remember like if we did a 72-hour first date, but we became pretty inseparable. We knew each other for a week, and then we booked a trip. Paid for a trip to another state, and like rented an Airbnb, all the stuff. That would have been 3 months out. Like, we knew each other for a week. Oh my God, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why she did that. I don't know why we did that. Oh my God. And then things ended 3 weeks later. Like, we didn't even make it halfway to them. That's actually a girl talking about things who like kind of want heteronormative scripts or like traditional dynamics. One of the reasons I ended things with her. One of the reasons I did is because she wanted me to be like more masculine. She kept wanting to be more and more masculine. Like, she said I should go on T because she said it would make me sound more masculine, and I would probably like that. And I was just like, what? She was just obsessed with me being more and more masculine. She was like very, what would be the word, pushy about it. And that's one of the reasons that I ended things, because like I don't want to be. But like to speak to, like, some people will have expectations for you in terms of like gender roles because of what they want. That's not the point. Booked a trip after, like, didn't go, thank God. I don't remember if we got refunds, but we didn't go. But that would be an example of U-hauling ending before it became like a true U-haul, like, let's go buy a van or rent a van situation. But that is something that I wish that when I was younger, I listened to myself about. That I actually took a second and could get myself to not be in the other person's presence. And I think that that's a good test as well in terms of like boundaries that can happen in a relationship, because many of the times that I would say that, because I'm telling you, this was something that I've always believed in and I still believe in. I just like had a hard time implementing. I would usually say that to someone, and like that I was seeing that I wanted to spend like a few days apart, physically, not that we couldn't call or talk, but physically, so that I could like think clearly, because I can't think clearly when I'm attracted to you and you're right in front of me, and like I just need to like think clearly. And a lot of the times, like if I was seeing a girl and I said that, I would not be met with like, they would be very upset with me about it. Like they would handle it very badly and be very upset with me, and it would become like an argument. And a lot of the reason that I would also be like, okay, never mind, you're right, like let's just keep spending time together. And that's on me. I should have put my foot down if I really wanted to like follow through with that. But it also taught me early on as well, if I look back now, what a relationship would probably actually look like with this person when it comes to implementing boundaries in personal space and having personal time. That's really important. And the fact that it was already like an issue for me, now that I know this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a big deal. Like that's kind of a red flag. Like I'm asking like just to not hang out for like a couple days in a row. So that's something else that it taught me. That was something that I still believe in. I got better at sticking to when I got started dating more, but still like it's hard. Just realistically, it's hard. Like when you like someone a lot and they're just there in front of you, like how could you not want them around all the time, right? So I get it. It's hard, and I understand why U-hauling happens, and I'm definitely not immune. So hopefully it'll never happen to me again, or even like the beginning signs of it, because I can't handle that anymore. Okay. That was like UHauling. My thoughts on UHauling. I wrote down some other stuff. Let me see what I said. Okay, I also had stuff on flirting. So that's like a DM I often get. Like, how do you flirt with women? Like, I just came out and I have no idea how to flirt with women on dates. Like, where do I meet women? So I thought I would talk about it, like learning to sort of break the platonic barrier. I talk in other videos about like how it can be hard feeling comfortable enough to flirt with women, even if you're on like a lesbian date. I have a video on the lesbian predatory trope that I feel like really speaks to that, like being afraid that even though like you're with maybe potentially another gay woman on a gay date, being afraid that you being gay in any way, like showing any interest or flirting, will somehow make you creepy and weird. And it can make you really afraid to flirt in any capacity. But then at the same time, needing to flirt, you want to show that you like are interested in this person as more than just a friend. And especially if you're in a situation where like there's no script, like we are exposed to so many scripts growing up, like dominant heteronormative heterosexual relationship scripts about who does what, how do you respond, how do you act, how do they act, and that's how you sort of navigate them. And it's easy because you have something to fall back on. But if you're in a gay relationship, the script isn't there anymore because it's gay. It's not based in this like heterosexual romantic relationship script. And a lot of the times in that script, it's like you have a man flirts, initiates, opens the door, whatever, and then in these heterosexual scripts, the woman does this and that and that. That's what you like know. You can fall back on that. This is who pays. This is who doesn't pay. This is who drives. This is who doesn't drive. Stuff like that. And then when you're on like a lesbian date, suddenly the scripts are out the window. And sometimes they're not. Like my ex-girlfriend, who was very heteronormative, to an unhealthy degree. But there's some people who still want to follow those scripts. And I think a lot of the times when you're on a date with someone like that, you kind of know. You can pick up on it. And hopefully it's in a way that's healthy, right? Like there's a difference between like my ex-girlfriend, who was very unhealthy and wanted the abusive aspect of a heteronormative heterosexual script. She wanted the oppression that like we didn't actually have, because she would need to be a man to have that kind of power, but she wanted to recreate it. But you can kind of tell when like a date is going in that direction, where there's going to be that kind of like a little bit of a script like already kind of written. You can kind of pick up on how it's going to go. You can kind of tell when that's happening. Sometimes you can't. And other times, like, it's just totally different. Like, you're totally already outside of the script. It just looks completely different. For example, if it's like two femmes on a date, totally new script. Totally new script. You're going to have to write it. You don't even have anything just from memory, muscle memory to go off of, being like, oh yeah, usually the person who's just more masculine does this. Like, your brain doesn't even have that chance to make those associations, or at potentially in the moment unlearn those associations. So you're going to have to start writing your own script. And you're gonna have to overcome like the fear of flirting if you want to like make moves and things like that. So I thought I would talk about like what I've learned when it comes to flirting with women, because that is like a question I get a lot. And you know, it takes like a lot to learn. Like, okay, how do I flirt without feeling like a creep? How do I flirt with a girl, like in general? Like how? And I was thinking about it this morning, like what I would say, like if I could give tips to like my younger self. And you know, I think the thing a lot of people talk about is like not wanting to get stuck in like the platonic compliments cage, where you're being like, you're so pretty, you know, you're so pretty, and like, you're so gorgeous. And here's the thing, like I was thinking about it and I'm like, you could easily end up in that like platonic cage, stay behind that platonic barrier if you're using these kind of compliments. But the reality is any compliment is fine. It doesn't have to be platonic if you use it right and if you do it correctly. So when I was thinking about that, like how would I explain now, like how to maybe try and make sure you use it in a way that, even though yes, it's like a compliment that friends might say to each other, it's going to get the point across that like you don't see this person as a friend. And something I was thinking about is like, okay, so if you say you're on a date with a woman, you're on a date with a girl, and you like her, like you really do like her, you want her to know that you like her, like you're interested in her, and theoretically, I would say maybe try a different compliment than this, or like flirty comment than this, like you look so pretty or you're so pretty. But it tends to be the one that like all that can come to people's heads a lot of the time, which is understandable. So say that like the only thing that you can say is you're so pretty, like you look so pretty, you're so pretty. That's fine. That's fine. I think that that's totally fine. I think make sure you say it in the right way. And I feel like there's a couple ways you can make sure to differentiate it. If you're just going to say it directly to her, I think so important when you're trying to flirt with somebody and make sure it's not platonic when it's like with another woman, is your tone. And you need to show her when you say it that you're saying it because she's affected you. And I think the most important thing that comes with anything, and why I think you could really say any kind of compliment and turn it into something that like is clear interest or almost like flirting, is it's dependent on whether or not you show her that like she is affecting you. Like she needs to know that she is having an effect on you. She is affecting you. Her presence is like impacting you in that moment. That's what matters more than anything, is that like she knows you see her. Like you're looking at her and you like feel it and you're like, okay, she's affecting you. So if you're saying, oh my God, you're so pretty, because it's like, oh yeah, you're so pretty. Or it's like, you're so pretty, it's making me like nervous. Those are two different things. And one is more friendly and one is more flirty. So if you want to tell someone that like you're trying to flirt with, or you want them to know that you're interested, I think it needs to come from a place where like you are affected. And I think a really easy way to do that is, okay, this is like advice maybe I would give, but timing matters. So don't do this when she's talking about something serious. Interrupt her. So if you're talking to someone, like she's talking to you, that's what it is. I'm going to say she, like you're on a date with a woman and she's talking to you and you like her and you were thinking about how she's like so beautiful. You want to say something like for her to know that like, okay, like you're affecting me. Like I do like you. Like I feel something for you. When she's talking about something that's like, I don't know, something not too serious, listen enough that like you know whatever the last like few words that she said was, or you're listening to her. I'm hoping that you're listening to her in general. Know what she said, clock that, like keep that in your head. And then I would say interrupt her. I think that that's a great way to show the impact and say, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. It's just like you're really distracting me. You're just so pretty. I'm sorry. I'm just really distracted. Like you're really pretty. Okay, sorry, continue. Just, it can be the dumbest thing. It can be so dumb. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as you know that like, or as long as whoever you're with, as long as like she knows that you're saying it because it has been like so distracting to look at her because she is so pretty that like you had to interrupt her really quick and like okay, now you can continue. And when I say clock what she said before, is because before you say, okay, continue, re-reference what she said. So she knows that you're listening to her. Like she needs to know that you're not just interrupting her and you're not like objectifying her and just looking at her and objectifying her. Like you are listening, but like, sorry, it's like a little bit hard to listen because like you are really pretty. I'm sorry. It's like distracting me. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Continue. That's like, I think a good way to show that you're having an impact on me. Okay, just want you to know that like you're impacting me right now in this moment, but I'm listening. And you can do that like with something so basic. Like you could be like, oh yeah, you're so pretty. Like you're so pretty. You could say that. Be like, sorry, it's just distracting me. I'm sorry. You're just really pretty. Okay. Or if it's not the kind of person, that's not the kind of compliment you would give this kind of person. Like it's a different vibe. You can make it literally anything as long as they are become aware of the fact that their presence is having an impact on you. So it could be their hands, the way they smell, the way their clothes fit. I don't know. What could you say? Like you could be like, sorry, I don't want to, you just look really good. Like you just, I don't know. I really like your style. You just look really good. That shirt like fits really well. Okay, sorry, continue. Things like that. I don't know. Their hands, you just have really nice hands. Sorry. I don't know. I was just distracted. I was looking at him. Okay, sorry. Continue. I swear I'm listening. Things like that. It's stupid, but also true. Like in my experience, when I do like a girl and she's talking to me, yeah, it's kind of a little bit harder to listen to her when I think she's like really beautiful and it's overwhelming me a little bit. So I think it's like allowing yourself to react in a way that's appropriate. Like you're not just interrupting her for no reason or because you're not listening, but because you are affected by her and allowing the person you're with to see that you are having a reaction to them. Like be present enough in front of them that they can see it. I think that that's like a great way to show that like you're interested in somebody. I think another way is just through tone alone, like to show your impact. So if you're going to say like, you look so pretty, like to someone versus being like to a friend where you're like, oh my God, you look so pretty. You would need to show that like you're really looking at them. I think again, like if you're taken aback a second, I would say you need to like check them out. Like actually you're genuinely looking at them. You're not just being like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Like, no, I'm looking at you. Like you have my attention. You have my full attention. Like you need to look at them all the way, like what they're wearing, look at them, let them know that you're like paying attention to them and probably say like, you know, you're so pretty, but change your tone. You just like, yeah, I think it's more important than anything to just change your tone. Make sure that you're like making eye contact, looking at them completely, and then just change your tone instead of being like, you look so pretty with like a high end at the end where it's like pretty, make it lower. Like you look so pretty, something like that. But like while you're looking at them And then if you can't look at someone, you can't make the eye contact, like it's stressing you out, that's okay too. Say it, say the impact, say that they're affecting you. So you would just, if you're going to say that same sentence, instead of being like, oh my God, or no, you could say that. Yeah, okay, you could say that. You could be like, oh my God, sorry, you're just so pretty. Something like that. It's okay to not make eye contact if you can say the right thing, you know, that like can explain why you're not making the eye contact, I think. And then like obviously if you're making eye contact and you can show the impact, you don't have to add like the holy shit. Well, I guess you could add the holy shit and be like, holy shit, you're so pretty, right? Versus like, holy shit, you're so pretty. So different. But change the tone, I would say. Say or show that they're having an impact on you. But make sure that they know that you're listening. Another thing that I would say is like a good way to like show someone that I feel like flirting, yes, is like nice to have like lines, okay, whatever, like you're trying to flirt with someone, but I think more than anything, it's making someone feel seen and like they're being paid attention to, like they have your full attention. Nothing feels better than if someone is interested in you or like you're interested in someone knowing that they have like, you have their full attention, right? And so you want them to know that like they have your full attention. So it could be helpful, like if you're already like struggling, I don't know, like to pay attention because they are really pretty or like you're nervous and you're getting like nervous. A good way to try and like make sure that they know that you're paying attention is try and remember like something that they said in the very beginning of the date. Like try and remember so that by the end, something that they said within the first 10 minutes, you can reference again at the last 10 minutes so that they know like you were there the whole date. And all of the moments that you might have been nervous and felt like you were going to freak out and lose your mind maybe if you really like them, you were there. You were they had your full undivided attention from the first 10 minutes to the last 10 minutes. And I think that can be a helpful way to like bring it around. And I think that's what means the most on dates, and especially with women who we're so often not listened to, right? And people don't often pay attention to women. They don't listen to women. They just objectify women. So yes, like people want to know that they're desired in whatever way that you can express that, but do it by showing that you are paying attention to them. You are listening to them. And even if you have to tell them that they're pretty, it's because you are listening and you just need to let them know because you're a little bit thrown off because they're so pretty that it's like, I am listening, I swear. It's just, you smell really good. I'm a little distracted, okay? But I'm listening, I swear. Okay, continue telling me about your dad's 56th birthday and how you fell off of a tree. Fell off of a tree? Fell off of a porch? I'm trying to make up something and it's not working. Something like that. Something like that. Just make sure that they know that they have your full attention. That will get you farther than anything, I think. You don't have to have like all these like crazy moves. You don't have to say all these crazy things. You just need to let them know that you're listening and that you're watching and that you're affected by what you're seeing. And I think that those are some pretty like, I don't know, simple ways to do it. And then from there, I feel like flirting, like the concept of flirting comes with just like natural chemistry and tension. So the more comfortable you get with one another, I think flirting just kind of naturally happens. And I think that opens the door for comfort because the more that someone feels wanted and secure in the fact that they're wanted by another person, the more that they'll likely feel comfortable also reciprocating that. And if you're both really terrified and scared and afraid of flirting, it's two people are like a little bit too insecure to like express any like comfort or express any of like their own reciprocal flirtation because it's going to be like too nerve-wracking, right? Like they're not sure that they're even wanted, so why would they flirt? So if you can get yourself to be the first one to do it, to like open that door. Again, always read the room. Always read the room. And you're always opening yourself up for rejection, but it's a great thing to do. It's to make someone else feel comfortable enough that like then they feel comfortable flirting, and then I think it becomes something that's really easy and really natural. But someone kind of has to break that barrier and open up the dynamic to being like, no, like I do want you. Like you don't have to worry about like saying anything that's like gay or feeling weird about being gay because this is gay and I'm gay and I want you. Like I like you. So a lot of the times we get stuck behind this platonic barrier because we're both too nervous to open up that door and risk the rejection, I think, the emotional rejection. But those are, I think, pretty good lines to use, like you look so pretty if you're going to use it another different way, or like you dress really nice, you have really nice hands, because they're pretty innocent. Like you can't really go wrong with saying like you look so pretty or like you smell really good or something like that. And if you word it or you say it at the right time with the right kind of tone, it can be just as flirty as literally anything else. But it's a safe enough sentiment that I think will hopefully protect you from feeling like overwhelmed with that like predatory lesbian trope kind of icky feeling you can get. So maybe that can be helpful. I hope that can maybe be a little helpful. I'm trying to think if there's other things. Dating apps. If you use dating apps and you're getting stuck in the, what do I say first? Like, oh my God, you're so pretty. I think something that can be helpful is if you're messaging someone on a dating app, whatever you say to them, hopefully you can have like a better starter than this, but you should also like throw in your first kind of compliment to show interest. And I would say if it's something that you can't change the tone of in person, the way that you're doing it in person, like you look so pretty, don't say you're so pretty on a dating app. Change the sentence to something that doesn't have an automated tone in their head, likely. Like, you're so gorgeous. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. This is probably an automated tone in people's heads that sounds pretty platonic, honestly, a lot of the time, especially between like two women. So on a dating app where you can't change the tone, it's just like written, I would change the words. And it can be something stupid. Just change it so it's like it shakes up a little bit. Like they don't have an automated tone in their head for it. So like, I don't know, say whatever you're going to say to like open it. Say like, hi, whatever you say. Hopefully have some kind of question like thrown in, maybe something related if it's a dating app with like a prompt. And then you could be like, and what could you say? You could be like, and also, can I just say you have an incredible face, by the way? 10 out of 10. I'm a huge fan. Something like that. Like, it's just stupid, but it's different. It's enough to be like, okay, wait, my friends don't say that to me. My friends tell me I look so pretty or I look so beautiful, but my friends don't say, oh my God, I'm like a 10 out of 10. I'm a huge fan of your face. It's just different. It's just different. And I think it just helps separate pretty immediately from like the automatic platonic tones and tone indicators that we kind of have in our head, saved in our head. Things like that. I'm trying to think like what else you could say on a dating app. That's literally just a different kind of sentence. But something that just changes that they don't have auto-saved in their brain in terms of tone. So it could be something that's stupid, right? Like, oh my God, you have an incredible face. I'm a huge fan. 10 out of 10. Maybe they really do too. I mean, like, does she have an incredible 10 out of 10 amazing face? Then tell her. Why not tell her? Paying on dates. That's one. Like, who pays on a date? I think it depends. I've always been like, I'm going to pay. I don't like people paying. I always want to pay. So there's always that question of like, who pays? I think whoever asks someone on a date should pay. Probably is like how it should go. Is how I feel about it. But if you're someone who wants to pay and like you've already decided like, I want to pay, I'm going to pay. There's something that happens when you're on a date where like, I think you can like start to go into platonic territory. For some reason, I've just noticed this. If you start to argue about who's going to pay. And it's like, no, I'll pay. Like, no, I'll pay. No, I want to pay. No, I'll pay. Again, like you're reading the room. Like, don't do this to some people and some people it'll work. Other people might really not like this. And I feel like you can often pick up like which one it is. But if it's like no, like, oh my God, like you don't have to, like I'll also pay. Like, no, let me pay. Instead of going back and forth like that, because I think can somehow start to become like feel weirdly platonic. Like, no, like if I'm on a date with you and I'm interested in you, like I'm paying for you. Like we're not friends. I'm not letting it feel like friendship. But people often are like, no, like, oh my God, like, I don't know. And that happens. I think a good way to bypass like almost platonic like arguing of like, oh my God, no, but like, should we split? No, like I don't want you, is okay, let it happen for like 10 seconds. Be like, no, you, oh my God. And if that's going to start to happen, something that I've learned to do to just like make sure like to kind of like take back control and be like, we're not friends, is let them then put their card down. Either agree, be like, okay, fine, we can split. Or like, if they're like going to be like, no, oh my God, let me, but you really want to, let them put their card down like all the way until their hand is away from it. And then you take their card and you put it in your pocket and put your card down until it's paid. And then that way you've paid. So you show your interest, like, no, like I'm interested in you. And you stop from going back and forth that like, oh my God, no, like, no, let me pay. Please let me pay. Or like, oh my God, no, let me. Just like get rid of that, like table that. And you bypass that so that you can pay. I think that's a good way to do it sometimes. Some people don't like this. Some people will not like this. I think you can know on a date like what kind of person that'll work for and what kind of person it won't work for. If it's someone like my ex-girlfriend who was like very much like set on a script, she would hate that. She would have flipped out. If it's someone who like you guys very clearly don't even really want to like see each other again, probably also don't do this. But if it's someone that it's actually like happening because it's like, oh my God, no, I like you. Like then I think it's a good idea, a good tip. But yeah. I just keep it in my pocket until the check is paid. And then I give it back to them. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got when it comes to flirting and like the things that I've learned. But I guess I'll just say that if you are like newly out and dating for the first time, dating women for the first time, that it is a wonderful experience and there's so much to be learned and there's so much you will learn, but that you should open yourself up to experiencing it and allow yourself to take those emotional risks, to have those experiences, because yes, they are scary and you open yourself up to rejection and being awkward and being weird, but like there's so many wonderful, amazing experiences in life and moments and people that we will meet from opening up to ourselves to feeling awkward and weird and being emotionally open and thus open to rejection and taking those risks. And some of my most favorite memories in my entire life and the people that I've met have come from allowing myself to be a little awkward that way and take those emotional risks. So I hope that you allow yourself the opportunity to take those risks and to experience gay love and all that it comes with, and the gay awkward moments and the things that you learn when you take those emotional risks, and to flirt with someone because you like them and you want them to know, and I'm sure that they would really love to know. People like to know that they are liked. And yeah, it's a fun thing. It's fun. It's weird. And I don't know. My advice could actually be awful and fucking suck. And if it does, fair, let me know. I have no problem taking criticism. I haven't dated in quite a long time now at this point. So maybe it's all like also deeply outdated. I haven't dated since like December. So yeah. If you have any dating experiences, things that you've learned since dating, lesbian dating, and like when it comes to just like what you've learned within the LGBTQ community and dating, or like dating tips or things that you experience on dates, I would love to hear them. If you want to share, I'd love to hear it. If you feel comfortable sharing it, like in the comments below, I would love to hear your experiences. I'm sure other people would as well, because I get a lot of messages about stuff like this. Whether it's related to this or like literally anything else, if you have something that you want to talk about or share, I would love to hear it in general. If it's not something you want to put in the comments, I have an email and submissions page on my website, and they'll be down below. Always feel free if it's something you want to talk about, whatever it is, happy, sad, confused. I'd be honored to hear it, to read it if you want to send it to me, whatever it is. And yeah, if there's anything else you want to share that you feel comfortable with other people seeing, the comments are always open to you. And I moderate them to make sure that there's no like homophobic, transphobic, racist assholes. You don't have to worry about that. And yeah, this is the third video technically for Lesbian Visibility Week, and it's a day late, but I hope that you did enjoy it. And I'll have other videos up this week. So, okay, yeah, I think that's it. I don't want to ramble too long, and I also think my camera's gonna die probably. So thank you for watching, for listening to my dating stories and my potentially really bad flirting advice, or maybe mediocre, who knows. Let me know. If you try it out, let me know. Or if you have other advice, let me know. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.